Des, in your important lecture you gave yesterday at the Fondazione La Malfa, you said that Europe matters in the effort for non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. Could you explain why and how Europe can matter in this area?
Well, I mean, I believe in leadership and politics, and the world we live in today appears to agree that we should aspire to a world free of nuclear weapons. And we know that to do that we need to reduce the importance of these weapons in our defence systems and therefore to reduce their numbers. And I think we all have a responsibility, and there is a particular responsibility on European countries because of our engagement in the NATO alliance, which is a nuclear armed alliance. So we shouldn't just say these things, we should use our political leadership in order to achieve them, and we have this very important mix of nuclear armed states, states who share nuclear weapons with the most important ally in the alliance in the United States. But we also have a combination of the states who are most fearful and mistrustful, particularly of their former Soviet partner, at the same time as the countries who are most influential on the United States. So since the engine of disarmament, the engine of non-proliferation has to be centred in Russia and the United States, we are uniquely placed to influence the decisions that both of these countries make. We share the same space with Russia and we share the same ambitions with the United States. So it's now time for us to take the responsibility of leadership and ensuring that we translate what we say we want into the actions, the political actions, to deliver what we want.
Are we doing this with the new concept which NATO issued last year, or was it too shy?
Well, I mean, I'm very critical of the results of the last review in NATO because we found ourselves in a position where the allies who have committed their nuclear weapon systems to the collective defence say that they will only use their weapon systems in very restricted circumstances. And that's a progressive advancement. It's important to non-nuclear weapon states in the world that they get a sense that these weapons will not be used against them, and that they believe what is being said. But because of the nature of our alliance, the collective decision about when we will use them is less progressive than that. It seems to me to be a ridiculous situation. The alliance says, you know, we will use the weapons in certain circumstances. The individual countries who have the weapons say we will only use them in much more restricted circumstances. How can this be? So we have a continuing review going on at the moment in the alliance about that, among other things, about our deterrence and defence posture. It would be better if it was more transparent and more engaging, but it is very internalised. Yeah, and I don't think we can afford it to report to us. I think we need to be engaged in it, and I'm encouraging members of our network across Europe to ask important questions in their capitals of their governments about what contribution they are making to this discussion. Are we genuinely going to come out of this with a defence and deterrence posture which contributes to a world that will be free of nuclear weapons, or are we going to give to the next generation of decision makers a set of decisions that say we're not really much advanced from where we were?
There still is an official policy of NATO neither to confirm nor deny the presence of nuclear weapons in Europe and which European countries. Do you think this still makes sense to keep such a policy, and what do you think is the reason to maintain this when it's universally known where they are, and it's difficult to have a proper discussion, for instance, in parliaments about this issue when the responsible persons asked have to reply that they cannot confirm or deny their presence?
Well, I mean, unfortunately we have a lot of inheritance from the time of the Cold War, when these devices served our kind of bipolar world and this great standoff that there was at the heart of our security. And we haven't been very good at adjusting them, so we have the contradiction now that we're encouraging the Chinese to be more transparent. We're encouraging the Russians, indeed, who have many more of these weapons than we have in Europe, and we know we have them here, to be more transparent about where the weapons are, how they're deployed. and actually whether they're secure and safe, which is a real concern in this world. And it's contradictory to that for us not to have the same transparency in our own domestic environments. And it makes little or no sense when there are acres of newsprint published, and when you can search on Google against these weapons and discover lots of information about them, that we pretend that somehow adds to our security to say that they are not there. In addition to that, it's not hard to find knowledgeable military people who say that these sub-strategic nuclear weapons, which we know are in 5 European countries, serve no military purpose. So what deterrent value do they have? And I'm very keen on having an honest discussion. I think there is progress to be made. But what I believe lies at the heart of this is an unwillingness on the part of the Alliance to move away from the comfort blanket of nuclear weapons, because it means they have to address the real security challenges that we face in the 21st century. And you know, of course, what that means. That means that we must be more relevant to the 21st century in the way in which we invest our money in our defence. And in these times of austerity, nobody wants greater challenges for investment in defence. So we've got these existing weapons. They can be made, at least rhetorically, to serve lots of purposes. They don't. And if we don't expose that process to any form of testing in parliaments, or if people don't ask the right questions, then we can continue to live with that myth. And it generally is a myth, I think, that they serve any purpose other than that limited one.
Let me conclude this by saying that we are most grateful to you, not only for the speech you gave yesterday, but most of all because of the efforts you are putting in organizing a network of European politicians and experts who can follow these problems properly and exert a pressure on the leadership to make the necessary changes. The idea of working across borders in Europe to produce a joint effort, to produce a common language and a joint effort is extraordinarily important, and we are extremely grateful to you for engaging in this direction.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.